You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Welcome back to the Nerds Podcast as we cover the final episodes of Andor 10, 11, and 12. If you've been liking the channel and you want more of the Nerds Podcast, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell to make sure you get the latest and greatest from the nerds. Action, hopelessness, desperation, anxiety, and robots kicking ass. Let's talk about the details and the things that the fans want to talk about. It all opens up with Ferrix and the Gongs a year later, BBY1. And I want to make this very clear so that people completely understand how this goes. And I'm hoping this clears it up. The last 3 episodes of Andor and Rogue One are in one BBY. The events in A New Hope is 0 BBY. I hope that supports and understands Andor and its trajectory. Cole, we're here in the final stretch. Here we go. Lonnie makes the phone call. That's how we get this the season started. Kind of rings the bell and says he knows it all and wants out. Luthen starts off with, I think we've used up all the perfect, which I loved. Talk to me from Lonnie's point of view and Luthen's actions on that scene.
Well, from Lonnie's point of view, he's done everything above and beyond to get all the information he can for the rebels. And you can tell that not only was he following orders, but he was, again, going above and beyond to get as much information as he could. And luckily he did. He ended up finding out the true plans of what is the Empire actually seeking throughout all these other planets and this planet itself, and was able to at least give that message to Lucian.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about Lonnie is that he acted alone. I think he did this without Luthen's knowledge. Luthen probably would have told him to hold back because he's going to give him, because the one thing that Luthen had was important was Lonnie. And Lonnie just wanted to secure his family. Like he didn't really care for himself. He just wanted to kind of do it for himself, but he got stuck in the muck. Were you okay, Cole, with Lonnie dying?
He had to go.
Okay.
No, yeah, he had to go, and I understand why. Because this information is so rare. We can't have anything being traced back to us. We already know that the Empire is going, they're putting their foot on the necks of all the rebellions. And yes, unfortunately, he had to go. They didn't show it, but I'm guessing that Luthen was the one that took him out.
Yeah, I believe that too. And then Luthen gets this information. He gets to Claire. He starts repeating the information right away because he can't forget it, right? And again, Claire's like a daughter to him, which I love that we found out throughout these episodes. And then we get back to the antique shop, and Luthen is destroying the switchboard. Like he's like, we're done. He's just searching he had kind of an acid on the comm leaks of rebel spies. He's there. The doorbell rings. And it's Dedra Miro at the shop.
So before we get to Dedra, I hope that, well, you know, we already know what happens to Luthen, but it would be nice to know that this guy's daughter and wife would have been saved and taken to Yemen.
Now, yeah, it would have been. But at this point in time, I guarantee you, Lonnie didn't tell his family. So they're safe in the sense of a secret. And it was the secret that they're just trying to keep.
Yeah.
The Empire does this as well.
And that's tough. That's that's tough to take in because, he did everything he could. And unfortunately, he had to go out like that. I kind of wish his family would have been saved.
Yeah. And I don't think they were. I agree with you, Cole. I think it is sad that they weren't. But of course, this leads to that information. That information leads to other things getting. And like I said, ring dong, ding dong, the bell rings, antique shop, Dedra Miro. Pedro, talk to me. This rebel confrontation was amazing. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, when I saw that it was her, like the way she turned around That's when you. This is like when you know, okay, shit's gonna start hitting the fan now. It's the finale, but when you see some certain people start to cross paths, that's when you know. And she Luthen has done his dirt, you know what I mean? So he's got his hands have been in the mud, his hands are dirty. And she kind of called him out on it, but he kind of flipped the script on her because they were going to take him in. He showed her some artifact, turned around, and she's looking at him, and he took care of his own, he took care of himself. And the scramble to get, to save his life, need a medic here right away. They would, of course, she told him it's surrounded, so there's no way out. But he tried to take himself out, and we'll get to what happened later on. But
Did you think that he was going to turn around and shoot her?
no, no. I
That never
again, when
crossed your
it's when
mind?
it's a scene like this, I'm just, I'm not trying to analyze it. I'm just watching to see what happens. Because if I start trying to analyze it, I'm not enjoying it.
Right,
And
right, right,
I'll give you an example. The end of the Dark Knight Rises when Batman's talking, he's talking to Bane, and Talia's right there. I wasn't trying to figure anything out. I'm really paying attention, and then she stabs him, and I was so invested. I was just like, why'd she do that? Like that's how invested I was in it because I'm not trying to worry and decipher everything else. I'm just really consuming the story. Same thing here. I see that, they bumped heads like, oh, this is it. It's about to go down. So I didn't think he was gonna do anything. Like the time when you asked us, what's his name? His name is War, right? Forrest Whitaker,
Oh, Saw Gerrera.
Saul Guerrero.
Saw.
When he was pointing the gun, and you said, "Did you think he was gonna shoot this guy?" I was like, I didn't know what he was gonna do because I was just waiting to see what happened. So same thing here. Didn't know what he was gonna do, but again, because I was invested, I didn't expect him to try to
Yeah,
off
no,
himself.
listen. In the banter of that, when he said there are two pieces questioned in the shop, I think he was talking about himself and Dedra. When
Mm.
he was like, "There's two fake things in the shop,"
Mm.
that was he's saying, "I've been fake this whole time, so have you been." So when she asked him, "Are there any fakes in the shop?" I love that. I love that part as
That's a
well.
pretty cool scene, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's dope. And just the scene that hit me the most is when she said, "You disgust me." He
Mm.
said, "There's a whole galaxy waiting to disgust you."
She seemed really confident, and he flipped the script on her by
Yeah, yo,
doing
when
that.
Luthen turned around with the hole in his chest, her face was
Yeah.
awesome because she knows she was cooked.
She dropped the ball, yeah. She
Yeah.
dropped the ball. And the thing was, he was like, for freedom. And she's like, no, for chaos. And you can tell like both don't understand exactly what's going on. They're being manipulated by both the rebels and the Empire.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. I think they were actually on a parallel thing because we learned as well about the rebels how they felt about Luthen. But we go to a flashback, and Luthen is showing when he was actually serving in the Empire, and I'm not sure when this was, but you know, this maybe like remember the Empire took control for about 20 years before they did what they did as the rebels. But that scene right there when he was on the ship and he was kind of like, and you hear the people dying, I think that's during the Clone Wars. Not 100% sure, but if you're asking a Star Wars expert, I think that's what was happening there. But we get Luthen's real name, Sergeant Lear. And that was pretty cool to know how he actually took the last name and made it Real. He actually flipped his last name around to make it his name. And so he made it his alias, and he's overseeing a group of soldiers. He's in charge, and he hears the killing of the civilians. Man, he's not happy with it, and his heart melted when he saw little Clea. And I love that part where he extended his hand out and then he closed it. But now that we get back to the future, Luthen is stabbed. We get to the hospital. Clea's there, and she steals some space scrubs. and Dedra is getting arrested due to her overstepping. Cole, what did you think of the ISB coming to the hospital to arrest her?
Okay, so before I get into that, I definitely want to talk about that scene when Luthen was in the ship. It so reminded me of Gamora and Thanos when Thanos had everyone line up side to side, and then they only shot half of that side. And I'm hearing the screams, and that scene right there remind me so much of that. I was like, I can just imagine the torture and the pain that Luthen was going through at that time, right? And yeah, that one hit hard. That one definitely hit hard for me. That I could see the massacre that
And you
was
can see the
horrible.
turnaround, like what made him flip the switch.
Absolutely. Then you see him being a once he finally got to have Clea with him, you saw how it was cool that they go to the pawn shop. I call it the pawn shop. I'm from the hood, so they go to the bodega and they go to buy some stuff, and then she negotiates the price. And then when they leave, and she goes, "Oh, so I'm your daughter." And I found it wild that he goes, "When it's necessary."
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, he's keeping his head focused on what is the mission. Already told her, look, we're gonna have to go off of aliases, and this is the way we're gonna have to move on, so on and so forth. So you asked me about the ISB pulling
Yeah,
up on Dedra, right?
that lieutenant came through because apparently Dedra stepped on his toes.
Right. So that threw me off. I didn't expect her to get arrested for this. I was like, wait, what are you doing? She's on your side. Like everything she's doing is for the best of you. But you can tell the Empire rules with an iron fist. Everything and anything that you know and do has to be approved by us. And that's where she dropped the ball. She wanted to play the hero for the Empire and be like, hey, look, I found the access. I found this. Look what I've done. And yet it just turned around and bit her in the behind. I was shocked that they went that route. It kind of threw me off. But seeing the scene with her and the gentleman that was in Rogue One, um,
Panic.
Krennic.
yes, that scene right there really showed me why she was being arrested. And woof, man, the Empire is no joke, bro. No joke.
Um, so go great analysis on the whole scene. Yeah, it's what she found out, not what she did. I think that got her arrested. But Pete, talk me about Clea. She gets the scrubs. Very cool. How she had that kind of decoder thing that unlocked the scrubs to get out. Take me to what you thought throughout that scene because we're going flashbacks, right? That Cole mentioned a lot of the flashbacks with Luthen and Clea. And she's going through the flashbacks while she's going up the floors and getting closer to Luthen. What did you think about that scene right there? Because I was at the edge of my seat.
Remind me of video game. Like you have to infiltrate this place, like in the Spider-Man video games. But Mary Jane parts. You got to hide behind this, and she's working her way. And I knew what she was there to do. You know what I mean? I think we all knew what she was there to do. Unfortunately, but that was the best thing. That's what needed to be done. But it reminded me of a video game and one of these levels where you got to kind of like sneak past everybody and you can't be detected, even though she was in disguise with the scrubs. It had that feel for me, like a video game feel. And the flashbacks were, it was, it was he biologically her dad? No, but he raised her, and that it is her dad. But she had to do this. I'm sure she did it because she knew that's what he would have wanted. Because if not, he was compromised. He was, they were gonna get him for information. Look what they did to Bix. So who knows what they would have did to him? You know what I mean? Just to get what he could get information out of him. But yeah, it had a video game feel to me. Like she had to sneak to the top and get there without being detected, and she did.
Did
You
it ever
know,
give you a Joel Ellie feel?
Now that you say that, no, I didn't at the time, no. But now that you say that, it is very similar to that.
Yeah, no. Things that I noticed in that hospital scene, the color yellow, which is the canary colors from where Cassian is from. Um, there's a tail that comes out of one of the backs of one of the species there that had the crack, then the tail was out. That was dope. The elderly patient that she was walking around, I love that lady. The old lady was making me, we were laughing during that time. But Easter egg, and again, this is just me being a Star Wars fan, knowing it. She might be what's called Asogian, which is ET's species.
Wow.
They make a cameo in Phantom Menace, if you know that. They're in part of the Senate. They have a whole bunch of other things that look like ET. But so they are in Star Wars, but I think that was an older ET type of alien. So I
Oh.
thought that was pretty cool.
And you know what's
Um,
wild? That alien on the wheelchair for some reason shows us a gender of a female, a grandma, right? For I don't know why, because I don't know the gender of that creature, but yet I got that vibe that she was a female, and then you guys are saying she, maybe it is a she. That's pretty cool.
I like there's a scene where they show her kind of like just humming and she's just moving her legs. It was great to see that. In the flashbacks, there's an we see the execution of a young boy that gets Clea kind of stuck. And then what you talked about, Luthen just kind of schooling Clea, telling her to hide her hate, which is hard for me to do. Like I'm a person of a lot of pride, so for me to when I hate something and to be around something, it takes a lot. But sometimes for the greater good, I do bury it. Then he I thought it was funny because he gave her like the stand up by Ludacris. When I move, you move.
Yeah,
That
that's right.
speech right there was kind of funny to me because he was like, move, and she went fed him. Um, what was really cool is the detonation that Luthen did in those flashbacks with the stormtroopers on the bridge. That was a lot for me because, you know, he was kind of putting it out there. You're going to become part of this rebellion. And she had a shot to kind of blow up that bridge. But he made her look away at first, if you remember. And the reason why he did that is in most cases, if when people look at film to see who created the bomb, if you're looking in that area before the bomb explodes, you're probably behind it. Like most cases, something would blow up and then you would look, which is why he made her stop. And then after a blow up, he goes, now you look. Because you
Mm.
want to make sure that again, just that those small details where I picked up where he didn't want to have her like look like a rebel because if she was looking and then it blew up, then they kind of would have known that it was her. So just those kind of things that I noticed. That place was Naboo, and that's where Padme is from, and also Palpatine is from Naboo. So it would have been pretty bold to do that on his planet. But let's go and go in those lessons for Clea, and now you see her what she's doing at the hospital, right? On that level, how powerful were those lessons from Luthen?
Extremely powerful. It just pulled a switch, similar to the young soldier that I was talking about in The Last of Us. How the switch has been turned, and now you're living in this world. You're part of this group, and so now it's more. She flipped the switch. Now she's a soldier instead of just a civilian. Um, I didn't. I thought she was going to save Luthen,
Ooh,
but
we'll get into that.
that's what I thought. And going to the hospital, I thought she was going to get him out, and try to save him. But when I saw that she unplugged his respirator, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool because she's probably following orders that Lucian told her, listen, if this and this happens, I need you to do this. Meet me here, and at least he could depend on her. And she followed through with her mission, and ended up unaliving him so that way he won't spill all the secrets that he knows. So I thought that was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
all those
Go ahead,
I'm
Sam.
sorry.
No,
But
go ahead.
but all those lessons that he taught her, he not only taught her, but everyone else from Bix to Cassian, everyone that he's put in his circle, he's directed them in the right way for the big finale of trying to defeat this Death Star.
Yeah, she kissed him on the forehead while the tears were falling on her face, and that hit me. But I want to know, Pete, how you felt during that scene as well, because it was a morbid scene in that sense.
But that's that. Yeah, That's what I was trying to piggyback off of what Cole was saying. That he's always been about the mission, the objective. So like Cole said, I that's why I already knew what she was gonna do. I didn't think that she was gonna try to save him. Because I was like, if he tried to kill himself, he's not trying to be saved. He's trying to keep anything away from them. So I felt it was that was the mission. Is listen, if I get caught, you already know what to do. Like that. So that's why when I saw her sneaking up there, I didn't even think that maybe she was trying to save him. I was like, yeah,
I
she's
had
going up
hope.
there.
I had hope. I had hope that she was
She's
going
going up
to.
there to kill him, or to just pull the plug or finish him.
No,
You know,
and the funny thing is that that's how, we always want our heroes to go out with a big bang and big guns and things of that nature. But the one of the things that I realized about that is just that life doesn't work that way. Like a lot of the heroes that we know and think, they die on a hospital bed, quiet with beeping, and it was sad to see Luthen go that way for me. But like I said, it's all for the cause, Pete.
I,
It's all.
wa- I tell you this though, I wasn't sad. I felt like he's worked so hard to put everything in place. His mission, I think he went out like a trooper
Okay.
because they were saying he stood there too long, right? And I think Lucian was smart enough to understand that. But there was more that he needed to do. He accomplished his mission. So I didn't feel bad that he went out. I feel bad that he won't get to see the New Hope.
But didn't he say that? Like he said that I think in season 1 that I'm fighting for a sunrise that I'll never get to see.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So there you have it. I think he went out legit.
Like he was supposed to.
Yeah, like that scene shocked me. I didn't expect him to unalive himself. I thought he was just gonna get arrested, but for him to take that route, I was like, oh wow, this is deep. It's really
Yeah,
deep.
no, it was good to see Clea come through, and it was honorable that Luther not went out the way he did. But that now takes us to episode 11. We start off with the stormtrooper dead at the hospital floor. They just kind of open up the scene with that. Imperial Security Bureau. We never said it on this show. That's what ISB is. Imperial Security Bureau. There's a lieutenant there who's supposed to be in charge of the Access case, the same one that arrested Dedra that we spoke about. He says it's 3 people, and whoever did this, they're going to blame Dedra's security. I found that to be hilarious, that he was like, just make sure it's not our people that they have fault for this. But Dedra Miro is in custody, and we get the banter that Cole spoke about earlier with Krennic and her. And as he's walking by, he switches off the recording. I'm not sure if you caught that. He switched off the recording because he doesn't want those 2 words, when he asked her about those words, say it, to be even recorded. P knows this from Rogue One. It's Project Stardust, I think is what it is. But Cole, tell me what you thought of Krennic now that you brought it up. Just that scene between them 2.
Oh, that was great, man. Like Krennic, you could tell, like he is so loyal. All the rankings that he got on his jacket is well deserved, because the banter between them 2 was actually, it was so strong that when he poked her in her head, even I was like, ouch, like get off of me. Like I thought she was poor Dedra, yo. She's constantly getting physically abused. This is terrible. And whether it's from her loved one or the Empire itself, it just goes to show that she realized too late that she was siding with the wrong team, the team that's going to end up losing, at least for episode 4.
Yeah,
So
so that was crazy. That was crazy. I'm sorry, Cole. Go ahead. My
no,
apologies.
no, no, it's cool. So for me, like that banter right there, that was awesome. The way they were going back and forth, because I especially liked the way Dedra was fighting to prove, hey, all right, I messed up. I had this information. I didn't come to you because I wanted to do this. And I like the way she was going all about it, because she was trying to save not only her occupation, but to prove to the Empire that, I'm on your side. And I thought that was really cool. And then look, she ended up getting the short end of the stick when he goes at the very end, we're gonna figure this out without you. And then breaks out. I was like, wow, this is why there are some people that work for the Empire that switch to the rebellion side because of this.
Yeah, I think she committed career suicide. And to your point, she got the information, didn't share the information, which she was supposed to, but she was so deep in trying to catch access. It takes me back to in this season, I forget which episode it was, but she was talking to that lieutenant that arrested her, and she was like, "I'll give you all the glory." And then he was like, "I don't want all the glory. Like, maybe you thought this wrong." So this whole time, though, when she said that, she did want the glory. So that's all she wanted so bad that she messed up, came across some things that she shouldn't have seen, and it just kind of put her in a bad spot. 100% agree. Um, the next scene takes us back to the hospital. They're reviewing the tapes. They find out it's one person, Clea, that did all this. And it just shows you that they don't think that one person can hurt multiple, that these rebellions are weak or they need multiple people. Again, just going back to that confidence, overconfidence that the Empire has. We meet Claire back at the safe house, and she's digging out the cement, and she gets this machine that works on Morse code, but they call it pulse code in the show. And then the ISB lieutenant is with the person. She's admiring how the rebels were communicating out of the shop. But she Deirdre winds up giving that guy the advice, right, to get to that stuff, which is crazy to me. But I think she thinks it's her only way to get out. But we get back to Yavin, the rebel base, and we get back to Cassian, because we didn't get a Cassian at all in that episode 10, which is crazy to me. But again, we didn't get Daredevil in a lot of the episodes of Daredevil. So understanding how people do things is kind of crazy to me. But we get back to Yavin. Cassian, Melshi, and K2SO, they're playing space dominoes. And the pulse comes through on Will's device, and Andor and Melshi and K2, they bounce out. They're done. We're ready to go. They do the same thing they always do. They don't get permission. They just go. And now the Empire at this point in time is doing this wide search for Clea because and they can't say it was murder. So they do this propaganda where she's diseased and infectious, which of course bites them back later because they didn't have backup. Then again, we leave. We show Andor coming into close to Coruscant. But in doing this, that Andor keeps on doing this, and this question is going to go to Pete. Do you see the heads of the rebellion, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, all those other defective senators? And is Cassian putting the rebellion at risk every time he does this?
I don't see it as his putting the entire rebellion at risk. But is he going, rogue, as in Rogue One? Yeah, he is. But he said that before, when he said, "Listen, if I have to check in of what I have to do, then this is not for me." And he doesn't seem like that type of personality anyway. To kind of, I mean, will he fight for the cause? Yeah, but is he really gonna fall in line like everybody else? No. I think he holds more weight than everybody else, just regular people, because he's done so since from the beginning. He's been through so much to fight for this cause. So I don't think it was putting the rebellion at risk. It was just, look, he's one of the guys. He's somebody that makes things happen. by just, hey, he's doing cowboy shit all the time, you know what I mean? But it works out, you know? So no, I didn't think he was putting the rebellion at risk. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it that way the same way, and we spoke about this in The Last of Us when I said Dina and Ellie going off on their own and not listening to orders. To me, it's not the same as when Andor's doing it. So yeah,
Mm.
I don't. And I'll put it this way. Let me try to clear that up. To me, he has more experience than they would have because they're younger. You know what I'm saying? He's been through this stuff
He's
already.
seen it all. He's seen it
Yeah,
all
he's
before.
got he's been through the fire already. They're young. That's why I didn't see the same. I don't see it the same way. Them doing it and him doing it. But then,
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with that. What I think is that Cassian keep going out can get caught. I know that they keep shipping logs. That's how they get back to Yavin. Like, they program it. So if they get caught, a lot of the information could get leaked. Yavin is done, no rebellion. That's the fear I think that they're going through. But in that scene, as they're leaving, K2SO counts how many rules they broke in, and I thought that was actually pretty good. But we get back to the antique shop. The ISB agent that's working on their comms is there. We have both Cassian and Melshi and K2SO landing in Coruscant, and Imperial troops are right behind them. And then we get to the apartment where Cassian gets there. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but the knock that he does is the same banging as the Ferrex warning.
I didn't
So
notice that.
I had to go back there to kind of hear it. But if you go back and the banging that Will does at Ferrex is the same banging that the door knock is. Caught that, so good job on their part. She opens up the door. Of course, they're kind of guessing who it is, and then she says, "It would be you," which takes me back to what Luthen was saying, how Andor is always there when he needs them. And again, I think it's the Force driving all of this to make Cassian where he's always at.
Well, that was my point with he's got the experience. He's always, he always comes through.
Yeah,
That was
you
my
say it's
thing.
experience, I say it's the Force. I'm gonna agree to disagree with you on this one. Cole, what are your feelings in that scene, right? So Claire now is regurgitating all the stuff that Luthen says. She's telling Andor, she's making sure he's reminding him. You have the ISB people coming up the steps. What's going on in your head during this whole time?
She needs to hurry up. I'm like, yo, hurry up, guys. Yo, they coming after you. Not just the ISB, but they had like some different group, right? Like a SWAT team going
Like an
after
imperial,
these
yeah, it was like an
guys.
imperial team. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which was pretty cool. And also if Andor is expecting Lucen to be there, and he's not, and it's her. So I was hoping that they knew each other, so that way it wouldn't take so long. But as she's just blurting everything out and just saying names, she even got upset. She was like, "Repeat it," or say what I'm saying,
Yeah,
because she wanted him to like have that stuck in his head. Just that whole scene was intense, and
yeah.
it was a ill cliffhanger to leave it at the point
Of
where,
tension. Yeah,
where that
yeah.
SWAT team just, boom, was about to come in. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they make K2 stay on the ship. And then he decides he gets bored. So he decides because he sees the Imperial ship. The comms are down because they knocked out the comms. Pete walked me through as you see K2 walking up, and they ask him, "Hey, are you here with us?" And he says no. Then he kind of goes ham outside. So tell me what you thought about that.
The Juggernaut, bitch. He's going through, and he's a giant robot, and he's just going through and he's tossing people to the side like rag dolls. And that's exactly, he's like a fullback, because
Mm.
he said I cleared a path. And I was like, you sure did, bro. Because that last guy, I guess the leader of the squad that was heading up there to the safe house, he was a big dude, and he threw him to the side at the end. And then he said, "I cleared a path." I was like, "You sure did, bro. You sure did." But
Yeah,
nah,
and
that was
that's
cool.
crazy.
That was
Yeah, it
cool
was
because
crazy to see him do that.
it showed it showed they got some muscle behind them now. This
Yeah.
guy Andor has wits, and now they got some muscle behind him.
And some
Yeah.
loyalty as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and this takes us, of course, to episode 12. Some people are saying it's the greatest show for Star Wars has ever made. I still think Mandalorian is the best Star Wars show ever made. That's my opinion. But again, these last 6 episodes were pretty amazing to watch. But we're on Coruscant, and we started with Clea. Remember, she's still in the apartment. Cassian and Melshi are talking. Um, Let me ask you a question, Cole. Why do you think Clea doesn't want to leave to Yavin?
I think because she doesn't know the future like we do. She doesn't know that that's actually a safe place. And then looking more into it, from what I understand, Luton was getting like a lot of kickback from Yemen. Like they weren't seeing eye to eye when it came to what was best for the rebellion. So on top of that, she's like, don't send me there. Like, great, this is how my life is gonna end in that boring ass place that you're taking me. But she doesn't know that that is the place for future for her.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think she knows how the rebellion, with Mothma and Bale and all the other the senators, they're not feeling Luthen, and she just lost Luthen. So, would you want to go to a place that the person that was closest to you passed away, and they're gonna talk crap about him? Why would you want to
No,
go there?
you don't. But the thing is, where you're gonna go? That's where, what she did in the hospital. She's already America's most wanted, or whatever planet that is most wanted. And now, she has nowhere to go. So your best bet is to go with Andor and trust that he can put you in a safe place.
um like I said, I couldn't understand it, but just kind of looking back the second time around when I watched it, I can understand why she wasn't feeling Yavin. If they're not feeling my people, I'm not going to feel them, you know what I'm saying? But again, I want to go into a little bit more detail about that end part when K2 was going up, because they had this in episode 12 as we started off. And I love the fact, and it took me back to Daredevil when Cassian said leave the door open, because he wanted to bring them in. Same thing as Daredevil did. If you remember that scene with the Punisher, that door was open as well. It allows them to come in. So I thought that was cool when I saw that. The stun grenade was pretty cool to see how actually a flashbang on them, and that was really cool to see on that. But as K2 is coming up the hallway, right? All this is happening. K2 is coming up the hallway. He grabs that lieutenant, snaps his neck, and then uses him as a body
Oh
shield.
yeah.
Pete, what did you think about that? That
Um,
entire scene right there was just crazy to me.
no,
But
no,
go
it was
ahead.
it was a good scene when the way he made his way up, and yeah, it's crazy that I forgot about that scene because when he's shooting, and then I realized, oh, he's using this dude as a shield, and he's just there like, oh, just taking all the fire from this guy. But no, that whole scene to me was just it was cool the way they kind of put him on display to show what he can do.
Yeah, no, like you said, and the minute he said I cleared away, as
Snapping
you stated.
necks, throwing people, throwing grown up people. Like,
Yeah.
But they were asking for backup. They didn't get it. Partagas, who put out the whole thing that Clea's disease kind of shot himself in the foot because everyone is out looking for Clea, which didn't leave for any backup. Um, and then I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but they were arriving as Kaz was leaving. Like it was the same thing that Pedro had stated with Cyril when they just missed each other
mm,
as they were flying out. Again, we got kind of that. But they take us back to Yavin, and Mothma's having a heated discussion with Saw Gerrera, and she's kind of telling him like, man, you're kind of doing this on your own, and you're hurting the cause more than helping every time you do these things. And she doesn't have her fancy clothes anymore. She has no makeup on. She's not living the lavish life. So again, one of the same themes about this series was sacrifice, and we see it physically with Mon Mothma. Uh, Baylor doesn't seem to like Andor, and that's probably because as Luthen was building a spy network, these guys were building a rebellion, and sometimes those two things don't coincide. It's the same way we have FBI and CIA. You would think they're the same thing, right? But they're not. They handle two different types of things. So again, very cool to see on that note. But Cassian gets grounded. He gets back with Clea. He gets grounded. K2 gets powered down because, again, as a recorder, they don't trust anything, so they have to power him down. Cole, do you think the rebels were smart to react this way when Cassian got down?
Yeah, absolutely. They had no clue what he was doing. And then he fessed up. He said, "Look, I'll be honest. I went to save a friend. That's what I went to do. Found out that that friend is unalive now, but I got news for us that's going to tip the scales and give us the information we need for the rebellion." So yes, they should definitely work um as far as like protocol is concerned, because we you know, he's a rogue. He be wilding out. He just leaves on his own, does his own missions, and I can't trust you 100%. Yet what I thought was cool was the guy just kept he wants to believe that Andor is doing the right thing, and he kept like asking him questions and trying to figure it out. But as you could see, little by little, his confidence keeps growing more and more towards Andor.
Yeah, so Cassian speaks what he's learned, of course, to these defective senators. He explains that Luthen gave more than they ever did. Pete, what did you think of Cassian's speech to the rebellion leaders?
Well, just like what you just said, Luthen gave more than what they ever did. It's like, listen, we fought all this way. We've come all this way. Like it's time. Let's continue to fight and see this through. Like now's not the time to kind of be calculated or whatever. This is, going back to what Vic said, if I'm gonna sacrifice everything, I want to win. That's what I got from the speech. Like this is not the time to bullshit. Let's do it. We're here. Let's do it.
Yeah, the problem is that I think in that scene, Cassian only has what Luthen's word was to Clea. That's all he has. There's no proof of anything of the nature. Hence why Rogue One has to happen and start the way it does, because they needed a second confirmation to what they were getting information wise. But Mon doesn't trust it. She asked Vel to get involved to see if Cassian is actually telling the truth. And I love this scene with Vel and Cassian because they're drinking, right? And they start mentioning all the people that they lost, even the Ferrex people. They don't mention Ski though, and that's the guy that tried to betray him, the guy that becomes Thing in the Fantastic Four. That guy, he tried to kill them, so they don't even mention him, which is I thought was definitely hit the hell where it should be. But with Luthen dead now, and Cassian understanding that information was definitely worth it. So the cat's out the bag, and the Imperials know that they have a leak. Partagas, who was Dedra's boss, he's listening to Nimic's words that were in his journal, and he has to go to a trial or something, and he just kills himself. Like he just didn't want to even deal with it. And then Vel finds Clea. Remember, she was kind of dazed out in the rain, and she drops the same information that Cassian did, which of course winds up leading to Cassian getting back out there. And then Saw Gerrera's guy, the guy named Tivik, only wants to speak to Cassian, which we hear on the radio. And this is the guy that Cassian meets first in Rogue One. So, Cole, when you see it, that first guy, that's Tivik.
Spoiler.
the day that Cassian leaves, his last dream is of his sister. And then Bale comes to see Cassian and tells him and that him and Luthen would have a lot much more in common.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end. Cassian is watering his plants, and I felt like it was a tribute to Marva, because if you remember, Marva used to take care of her plants. And we get this montage. And I want to ask you guys both this question. I'm going to give you a list of the montage. You tell me which one stood out to you. Is that fair?
Go for it.
So, Mon Mothma sitting at a communal table. We see Davos, the Mon Mothma's husband, is with Davos's wife. Deidre is now on the prison in Narkina 5. Clea, who's now on Yavin 4, and she smiles a little bit, like she gets a quick smile. Saw Gerrera is on Jeddah, where we're going to meet him in Rogue One. So he's exactly where we're at when we start Rogue One. Krennic is looking at the Death Star. The last scene we'll talk about, because I think it ended perfectly. But out of those quick montages that they gave as they ended the show, and again, you guys can speak freely, which one stood out to you the most?
For me, it was Dedra.
In the prison.
Yeah, because look, we saw that episode, how, like, wow, this is rough. Like, these dudes is barefoot all the time, hot and cold floors, and and it was funny because when they first got there, they first dropped Andor off with the other guys, and they first electrocuted the floor. It looked like he did some air guitar. That's like, and I know it wasn't funny, but I started laughing because he looked like he did some air guitar pose. But then I realized, I was like, oh, the floor is electrocuted. Like, these dudes is feeling it right now. But and then to see her there, and she
same
started
uniform
crying.
too.
Was that?
In the same uniform too.
Yeah, she started crying. I was just like, and I think we spoke about, I forgot what episode we spoke about this. I was like, I really don't feel bad for them because it's part of the story. Felt bad for her.
What?
Felt bad for her, man. Look, because you know why? Because we saw what this dude went through, and we saw what they go through. Like, that's her life. She's like, again, you're not getting out of there.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's another Death Star, of course, that gets built, probably in the same thing. So Dedra's probably still there.
She's there. She's gonna die there. So that was my thing. Was that?
Cole, how about you? Out of those scenes,
For me, it has to be the showing the Death Star.
when Krennic
That
was
scene
looking
right
up.
there. Yeah, that whole scene looked so great. It got me so excited to see Rogue One, knowing that the whole plan was to build the Death Star. So that montage right there, that was beautiful. I also want to add as an honorable mention, when Andor was walking and he saw the healer, and they're looking at each other while they're walking. I like that part too.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, that was good.
I have a question. Is that the gear that he put on? Is that the gear he rocks on Rogue One?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the way they ended it, because
you're gonna see him in that
watching it.
same gear.
Although I haven't seen Rogue One, I'm watching it. I was like, oh man, this got to be the clothes that he's gonna be wearing for when I jump onto the movie. So for me, luckily for me, I get an extension of this Andor series.
When I saw him walking like that, I said, oh, it's seamless. It's gonna go right into Rogue One. When I saw him walking at the end, when I saw his clothes was different, I was like, okay, this is gonna go seamless into Rogue One.
Yeah, they did a great job of that. That's one thing they're good. So we end it. I love that I got some closure on B2. And Bix with Cassian's child. I'm gonna get you guys both in on this one. And my question is, do you think it is now justified why she left? And do you like the ending of this series? And that's to both of you guys.
Go first, Cole, because I went first last time.
You want me to go?
If you want to go.
What's the first question?
So the first question is in the sense of we get Bix holding what's more than likely Cassian's child.
Let's hope it is.
Yeah, and my question to you is, do you understand now why Bix left? And then my second question is, do you think they closed off the season correctly?
Yes. It just added more to it's not only about this mission, but the fact that I thought this whole time if she stood around, he's just gonna follow her and not complete his mission. But to know that he was gonna be a father, that would have really stopped him from the grand scheme of things. It looked like to me she was back at the harvest, where it's peaceful over there. So she's
Mina Rao, the planet. Yeah.
Mino Ra, so she's able to like live her life and when she's looking at the sun, I'm curious to know if it's just like Aquaman when he used to go to the pier to see if his mom would come back. That's kind of like what I was looking at to see if hey maybe I still have a chance that they can get together because once Andor left, yes, I was thinking of Rogue One, but I was like maybe he'll make a pit stop here before the movie starts and to find out that he's a dad. But no, absolutely. Hands down, I think she did do the right move even not telling him that he's a dad only because you already know us as fathers, we would drop everything for our children, and the mission is more important at this time. So I think they did it well. I enjoyed it. That was I was shocked when I saw that. Like a couple of things in these 3 episodes threw me off, but that's why I ended up enjoying it.
Pete.
Um, and again, I'm gonna go back to The Last of Us. Like, when we spoke about Dina being pregnant, and my thing was, you know what? I think when that to me is just very sensitive as far as when somebody's carrying a child, you can't be going through this type of shit, man. Like she need. I would have been like, no, we're going back. We're going back with Dina and Ellie, and yeah, But the thing is, yeah, her leaving definitely was the smart thing to do because, like Cole said, she probably would have been like, you know what, I'm same thing I felt Ellie should have did. You know what, let's just forget about the mission. His focus would have completely shifted to his child, and yeah, that's the right thing to do. But yeah, it's a cliffhanger to me because this story leads into it's the prequel to Rogue One for this character Andor, and this was like a little Easter egg for us.
Yeah, I'm hoping they make an Andor another season, but it's his son against the rebellion.
That's the only
Again,
thing they could probably do. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, or a big story that follows Bix and her son afterwards as well. Um, I definitely think that it was justified of her leaving him, understanding that his purpose, his destiny, was way more important. I enjoyed this show. I really did enjoy covering this show with you guys. I know it's our first time kind of doing Star Wars together, but if people are saying that this is the best Star Wars show ever, and we got to cover it, I'm happy I got to do it with you two. So um, Andor is done. Thank you for the ride, guys. If you actually had any comments at all, please make them on the channel. We would love to discuss those with you. And may the force be with you. For Pete, for Co, please like and subscribe. And may the force be with you.
We will return.
The worst episode ever.